Hi, I'm Marina Sirtis, and you're going boldly with Beyond Trek podcast.
This is Beyond Trek Podcast, your source for Star Trek on social media and around the web. I'm Big J.
I'm Watney.
And I'm Dag, the Trivia Master. You can find us on Facebook at Beyond Trek Podcast and on Twitter at Beyond Trek Pod.
Red alert.
Well, it's Sunday morning. Of course, we're in a good mood.
Oh,
Wani,
yeah.
Wani, you look very comfy. What are you wearing?
I am comfy. It's the flannel.
Oh, I miss wearing flannel. I need to get.
Yeah, it's super, super cold here. So we have the windows open and fall beckons.
What happened to the temperature? Like, I don't know about where you guys are, but it just felt like it dropped suddenly over here where I'm at.
Good.
Well,
That's
yeah.
the whole point. Season changing. Although I don't know, Dag, what you're dealing with in California.
It's on fire.
We had like 2 days of blue skies, and then yesterday about midday, the white started coming back into the sky, and it started smelling like s'mores again. Yeah, the fires in California are still raging on, but I'm in an area where I'm not imperiled. I have friends who are on evac alert, so shout out to them. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
I'm so glad you're safe and your home is not threatened.
Thanks.
It's a very sad situation right now. And of course, we also want to, speaking of current events, we want to give a very special shout out, but just before we begin today, to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who passed away this week. And her contributions to equality are boundless and far-reaching across the U.S. And it's a very sad day.
It is. Yeah. She did so much, and so much so that it's her absence just really. There's a lot of worry. There's a lot of worry out there over it, but wish she would have held on for a bit longer. So by the way, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dad. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying she said she hoped she'd make it to 90. Didn't quite get there, 87.
Yeah.
But definitely probably one of the most hyped figures in the United States Supreme Court, according to pop culture. When you got to be badass to make it to that icon status for a political figure.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
And she didn't just on the chair do like amazing things for women. It was her entire life of pushing to just be on the Supreme Court is a feat in itself. So Ruth, we really miss you. We love you. We're sad you're gone.
Yes, Ruth, live long and prosper. So let's do some intros. This is Beyond Trek Podcast.
Hi.
I'm Big J.
I'm Watney.
And I'm Dag. And we are about to dive into the Lower Decks episode, Much Ado About Boimler. If you haven't seen it yet, press pause and come back to us. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. And now that you're back, thanks for watching. Spoiler alert, if you didn't go watch the episode, we're going to give you every single detail you didn't even think you needed to know.
Every detail. more detail than you probably want to know, but that's what we do.
That's why you're here. So
let's dig in.
So Much Ado About Boimler really only shows Boimler for like a very, I think, a smaller percent of time, right?
It felt like it.
The episode had a name, like his name was in the title, and he was in the episode like just a little bit. So
it's kind of like a fistful of Datas, where like Data is in the episode for about 2 minutes, but he's on the holodeck as a clone of all those holodeck characters for a lot of time.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
Beauty.
What are your guys' initial thoughts of this episode?
I really like the Boimler plot. It felt like a B plot compared to the Mariner side of things. We didn't get a lot of Rutherford this episode, even though he's a hero.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I thought that as well, Dag. It was odd that the I know Boimler was certainly a major part of the episode, but it did feel like he was on the B plot of it. But then I think getting an episode named for you is probably not so much if you're in the A plot or B plot or how much screen time you get, but with what happened to the character and if it's a significant thing that happened. So, you know, the guy ended up becoming a transporter ghost for most of the episode. So I think, okay.
It's just cosmetic.
Right. Yeah. It's just cosmetic. So all in all, I liked it, and it gave us some more hints as to, excuse me, we'll get into this more because I have some theories, some more hints as to Mariner's Starfleet career.
Oh, some theories, huh?
Yes, got some theories.
All right, we love it.
Lots of cool stuff.
Yeah. So first scene, of course, beautiful shot of the ship. The crew's super tired and they've just been overworked, it seems. They all have bags under their eyes. So Tendi comes in and she has programmed some inert carbon into a dog. She calls it the dog.
The dog.
Yep. Looks like basically either a golden retriever or a white lab or something. Or yellow lab, sorry.
Rutherford's uniform is torn here. So whatever they just did, and Mariner's too, Mariner's pants are ripped. It's just very interesting. What were they doing before this?
Yes. And Tendi doesn't seem tired at all. In fact, she even says, like, when I tell you guys to go to the bathroom, I was secretly working on this. Like, so she's like, yeah. So she says she programmed some inert carbon into a dog, which is basically replication, right? Inert material into something, that's basically replication. And in this case, we think that she replicated a live creature. So is this the first instance we've kind of ever seen of that?
That I can think of, yes, that a creature like this was created out of a lab in Star Trek off of.
Out of a lab, because it's a Labrador.
I did not plan that.
We set you up for that one.
Yes. But yeah, you're right. They're torn and disheveled uniforms. I wonder what they were working on. And here's the other thought I had. It's almost like they're firemen on call. You know, they're never out of uniform, even when they're laying down or sleeping or whatever. And I get that it's animation and there's really no reason to show them changing into pajamas. But yeah, it seems to be a shame that when you finally do get some rack time, you still got to be in your uniform for it, or you are still in your uniform.
Yeah, it's weird because like usually when we see officers off duty, like in the other shows, they're wearing like civilian clothes, and sometimes not too. I don't know. The dog loves Tendi, and she leaves. And of course, it's one of those situations where every time she turns her back, the dog does something fucking weird. Rutherford's like, it's just a regular dog. And then it starts transforming into a creepy, glowy-eyed spider dog. It climbs up the walls and just starts looking at everyone. It's not hurting anybody. And Mariner's like,
I would nope.
Let me know if I need to fucking kick its ass or something. She's so tired.
Let me know if there's anything I really need to be worried about. Yeah. But I love that moment sort of demonstrates like her intuition. Like, even though this dog is freaking creepy, Mariner's usually on the ball with threats. And so she's just like,
Yeah. No, for sure.
What's happened around her.
Like, her intuition when something was wrong with Boimler and Cupid's errant arrow was like on point, or something was wrong with the situation. So she just attributed it to the other partner. So.
Oh, beauty shot. Their Cerritos beauty shop. Mm-hmm.
Keep that yellow ring in your mind because it's important later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bing bong boom.
So
we go to the title scene, and then shortly after that, we bump over to a sort of montage of Ransom, Captain Freeman, and Shax doing martial arts thingies, with Freeman holding a seed, a very volatile seed, apparently. Ransom elaborates that they are part of an elite team sent by Admiral Siltrak to liaise with the Persepian agricultural colony in disputed territory. They're joining the mission due to the germination of roulotte seeds or something. Is this the first time, you guys would know, is this the first time we've seen roulotte seeds?
I have never heard of them before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they're just like a funny plot device thing. So, but anyway, it's a very Jellicoe type thing. It's an episode with Jellicoe, which a lot of people hate Jellicoe, even though I think he was like super cool. And
Chain of Command, part 1 and 2, season 5, right?
Yeah, the episode where he tells Troy to put on a uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Which we're all grateful for because she looks amazing.
She looks great in uniform,
yeah.
So roulotte seats have been mentioned before. In Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Major Kira posed as the captain of a Lessepian freighter, and she told the Cardassian outpost she was shipping an urgent load of roulotte seeds to Cardassia 4.
Okay. Good digging.
Weird.
Yeah.
Very weird. Good reference.
These uniforms they're wearing, I think minus the hood, the part that covers up most of their head, are the same type and style from Chain of Command that Worf, Picard, and Dr. Crusher had on when they were on their secret mission, the all black.
They were wearing hoods. They had hoods.
And those had hoods too. So yeah, good callback to that episode.
Oh, this is hilarious. All black, so you can't see us. The ship is getting a sub captain, a temp captain, and Mariner's like, I don't want one. They never know what they're doing. It's like having a sub in school. It's like she doesn't want someone like Jellicoe, and she also doesn't want to go to a bog planet of all things.
Jellicoe, another Chain of Command reference.
Yes, for sure.
Super cool.
It's essentially a Jellicoe. Oh, this is so funny when the dog I don't know. So Mariner and Boimler are talking in their bunks, and she's expressing the fact that she doesn't like the situation, and then the dog flies kind of by and does a glowy somersault into a cube and just keeps rolling. Keeps trucking down the hall.
I love Tendi so much. And just as a minor segue that I'll talk about for way too long. Tendi, I can see why Tendi's on the Cerritos, because she does here demonstrate this genetic aptitude that is beyond anything we have really seen applied in a character in Star Trek. Mm-hmm. But I think it's her happy-go-lucky attitude, and she also has I think she needs to learn more about thinking further ahead in her plans. She's very in the moment, and while that is something I struggle to do on a regular basis, I think that she could be a geneticist on an Enterprise-like ship if she had more forethought into her planning.
I think that's good thought.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how much stuff like this happens on ships in Starfleet, just random shit down the halls at the upper, the bridge crew doesn't know anything about. It's just
people are experimenting and creating things. And yes, there's this entire life that's happening on the ship that we didn't get to see before now. All kinds of stuff. And I thought it was funny because besides just looking at it, Boimler sort of just ignores what just happened.
Yeah, they've determined it's not a threat. So they're like, just do whatever. As long as you don't fuck up our jobs. That's probably fine.
Life aboard a Starfleet ship.
Mm-hmm. And here we get like, it reminds me of The Fly.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Rutherford is experimenting with, that's a great reference. Gosh, I didn't put that together. I've seen those movies a couple of times and I'm still like, man, that's great. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this whole like, though, just the setup that Sam's working with really reminds me of The Fly. And so we go back to like the engineering workshop and the cargo area, and Boimler comes in and Sam is like, I'm working on making this transporter faster. And he's like, do you want to help? Because Mariner said she wasn't going to do it. Because she apparently doesn't. She apparently has her street smarts at something situation. And Boimler's like, if I do this, I can put it on my resume saying I'm helping with efficiencies or something.
Yeah.
So she's basically trying to like shore up himself to impress the new temp captain who he has maybe a fresh start with. And he says, "Boim me up."
Boim me up.
Yeah, he transports him one way, and then he's like, "No, transport me back." And Boimler is ringing and glowing blue when he appears when he transports for the second time.
You're just a couple of millicochrons off. It's okay.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt him, which is not how we usually see transporter accidents going in Trek. I mean, a transporter accident is horrible and horrific.
Yes, they either give you some kind of psychosis or you get beamed in with rocks and leaves stuck to you,
or the motion picture.
Oh God, yes. Mm-hmm.
That was the one, right? It's the motion picture. Yeah, because it has the one guy in a Decker.
Yeah. At the beginning when Kirk tries to help that transporter accident and what we got back didn't live long.
Yeah, that actually gives me chills, that scene. So this I think is kind of a play on that. And Boimler's like, shit, what am I going to do? Like, I can't go to the bridge and work looking like this. And Sam is like, it's fine. It's just cosmetic and it should clear up. And so we follow Boimler a little bit later after he starts trying to do his actual job. So
yeah.
We go to like the welcome room or something because they come in on a shuttle, I think.
Well, we go to the bridge and Mariner's just like tapping and then they show up in the turbo lift.
Oh, it's the bridge. Okay. Gotcha.
And yeah.
So what species is this purple guy?
Oh, he's Rigelian.
Okay. So a Rigelian, a Trill, and a Vulcan.
Yeah. And the last time we saw a Rigelian was also the first time we saw a Rigelian in Enterprise.
Yes. We love the callbacks. Like, he looks badass, dude.
Oh, he does.
Somebody on Twitter thought that he might have been the same species as Jayla from Star Trek Beyond.
Right.
But it got called out differently.
I could have seen that.
Lots of cross-referencing going on and updating memory alpha and blah, blah, blah. So
I love how he's allowed to wear his hair like that. It's not a normal regulation that we are accustomed to.
Does the Rigelian in the original site that we see of a Rigelian, is that like, does he have his hair down? Or I think he had short hair.
I don't even remember the Rigelian in Enterprise.
In Enterprise, they have long hair, and the locks like that are adorned with beads all the way up.
Very interesting.
What episode was it? Do you have that pulled up in Memory Alpha? What episode was that of Enterprise?
I do. So the episode where we actually get to see the Rigelians for the first time is in Enterprise. Let's see. I think it is Home, 4th season, episode 3, when the Enterprise returns from Nazi Germany.
Right.
So they're in the episode home as people who are listening to the debrief on Archer's mission in the, I don't know, it looks like the lobby of a hotel, but it might be actually like a council area.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Rigelians were also mentioned in the original series.
They are Journey to Babel.
Very interesting.
Yeah, they're
so
mentioned.
we finally get to see them kind of in Enterprise. Enterprise took the Rigelians and like ran with them, kind of like Lower Decks did a little bit. Apparently, they share a very similar internal physiology with Vulcans and Romulans, and they are known or believed to have 4 or 5 genders.
They have what genders?
4 or 5.
Oh, 4 or 5. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and look at that episode of Enterprise again, because it must have been one of those blink and you'll miss it characters in a, just kind of sitting there.
Yeah, they don't actually get called out in the episode. They're just in the script.
That's what. Yeah, that's what I mean in the original series, right? That's what you mean.
No, I mean on Enterprise, that episode of Enterprise where you see them. I just don't recall having seen it, but that's okay. I don't want to.
They look really cool. They do have long hair, but it's back in like a low pony, and they have like the beads, like Dag said. So
what is kind of cool here is the animators could have run with that 4 or 5 genders aspect to animate Drew here.
We don't really get to see much of Drew, so we don't get to understand their.
He's a badass, and I want him on my Klingon metal band.
Yeah, I mean, and Drew could be male presenting, but have other a different gender pronoun. So
faux show.
Very cool. Purple is the way to go. Looks like a badass. So we learned that Mariner's trepidation of the new captain is it's not really exactly accurate, because it's her very good friend Amina, Captain Amina, and I love Amina.
Amina Ramsey.
So pretty.
And we learned that they were at the academy together, and she's still an ensign.
Right.
And her buddy's a captain now.
Amina and a Mariner, they were on the Oakland together, or that's where the ship that Amina typically commands.
Yeah.
Right.
Another city in California.
That's right. Another city in California.
Oh, amazing.
Is it Mariner career theory time yet, or where is that in your notes, Watney? I don't want to miss it, but then I don't want to jump to it before.
I think we could probably touch on that later, because it comes up a lot more. Like, the episode is honestly very Mariner centered. So
okay, just give me the signal. Give me the signal when you're ready.
It's very awkward and uncomfy, this conversation, especially for Mariner, because she's like, well, shit, these are all my peers, and I feel out of place.
Right.
Maybe she hasn't had to confront her peers in a while. From the academy. So, Dag, were you going to say something?
I'm just like, Amina is very confident, but also laid back. She's got a team. This is like her captain's adjunct teams. And they're all very professional and stoic. That's one of the big dichotomies, is that this team is presented as like super serious, whereas on the Cerritos, we keep getting these team members who are more easygoing, fun-loving. They're very good at their jobs, but they're not as stoic as these guys. So I appreciated the contrast there to sort of highlight what happens on other ships. And it kind of is a little bit what I'd expect if we got a cameo from someone from another show.
I love the idea of Amina and her crew, because I love the professionalism of her team. So we have Warren, Pratchett, and Durga. I think Durga is the Vulcan. Those
Sounds
are their
right.
names. I think that I wrote those down. And
Of
she
all
was
those
kind
names,
of,
yeah.
even though I think the Rigelian doesn't really talk much, unfortunately.
He's a man of few words.
Yeah. So it's pointed out that Mariner is still an ensign. You can see on her face here, and this is a good good time to mention that if you're listening to us on Anchor.fm or Spotify or any of the places you can find us an audio version online, we do have a YouTube channel and you can watch us with slides and screen caps from the episode, discuss the episode, and you can get kind of a visualization of what we're talking about. So check us out on YouTube. Yeah. So at some point, Boimler kind of interrupts the conversation because it does get a little awkward. I look at him. No, me.
He's just resonating throughout the bridge.
It's very loud.
Yeah,
it's
the high pitched sound of transport, and
Mariner's like, now you're ruining this for me.
He's trying to play it off. He's trying to play it off so much, like, just going about my duties. Nothing wrong here.
Yeah, she's like, Edson, get to sick bay. And he's like, but sick bay's for sick people. And she's like, no. So he gets sent to sick bay, where Ta'ana is poking him. Look at it. I love Ta'ana.
Yeah.
So good. She's how short she is. Oh my God.
I was just thinking about it, and I love how Ta'ana has this very gruff and like sort of beat up look, and isn't there to be, your Cation eye candy.
Right, exactly.
It.
She looks more like a stray cat.
Like her ear is definitely tipped, or at least torn. She's seen it, a lot of it.
I think we may have mentioned this in a previous episode, but that ear chipping thing is what the SPCA does to tag cats that have been spayed or neutered.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Poor Ta'ana.
Well, so she's a sapient being. Cats are sentient, but she's a sapient being, which is a little bit different because humans are sapient, Homo sapien. So she may have had herself fixed, or she may have gotten in a fight. Knowing her and Shax's relationship, I can only speculate that they may have gotten into trouble together, and maybe that's how she got her ear torn. So
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Ta'ana does some tests, and Boimler's still obviously freaking out, and Sam makes the ringing stop, and he's like, well, that was the most annoying part.
I love that Boimler's like, do you think they're gonna want a sparkly captain? And he says it capping like Trit.
The first sparkly captain in the fleet.
His face.
I mean, think about it. What would that have been like to go the rest of your life and your career is like a couple millicochranes off of a transporter accident?
You'd never want to be beamed again.
Probably couldn't be beamed again.
I think it looks awesome. As long as I'm not ringing, I don't care.
Right, I know, right?
I don't want the noise.
Yeah. As long as I'm not experiencing internal damage, I think it's fine.
Okay.
It's now that I think about it, I'm looking at Boimler and he is bright blue, and I'm like, yes, we have the fly reference that you mentioned earlier, but could this also be like a Watchmen reference where
to Dr. Manhattan?
Yeah.
Dr. Manhattan was in the intrinsic field remover and became all bright blue, or he recombined himself as a bright blue deity powered entity.
Yes.
But this is Boimler. He's definitely not getting any deity powers.
I think our Dr. Manhattan reference would have been as well, perhaps. And I think I mentioned this in this episode where it's the one where it's the terraforming goo. And it's like where Tendi and the Ascension guy are like getting to know each other, and then he starts ascending after he sacrifices himself for her. That to me seems very like body horror, because it's handled in a way that's not like ascending, like it's horrible what's happening.
Right.
It's extremely traumatic, and so that to me, because he was glowing blue as well, is very Dr. Manhattan. But yeah, I can see the transparentness and the blueness.
The koala is smiling. What does he know?
What does he know? That's great.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So
I don't know why this isn't working. Sorry.
It's fine. So Ta'ana says, oh, don't worry about it. I've already called Division 14.
The time travel guys.
Is that the time travel guys? It's just like, no, it's a great medical spa in Endochronomus 5. They handle unsolvable space illnesses and science mysteries. And the dog is going with them. And Tendi at this point calls the dog in the show a cinnamon roll.
Yes.
Yep.
I thought of you.
We have called Tendi many, many times a cinnamon roll.
Yes.
So.
I immediately thought of you when she said cinnamon roll.
Yeah. So very, very interesting that we get to learn a little more about what actually happens to these weird things that happen in space. Like, as a reason that Paris and Janeway didn't go there themselves because they were in the Delta Quadrant? Probably.
Right. I like that they've established that there is a place to go for people that have suffered these accidents, whether it be some kind of weird space accident, anomaly accident, transporter accident. Because you're right, there's lots of that happening. So what happens to all these people that are not able to be returned to normal? I never thought of that before. And that's great that they have a, kind of like a nursing home sort of thing, type for the folks that their lives have been forever changed and impacted just by the dangers of serving in Starfleet. Because in Starfleet, especially here in the future, there is a lot of crazy shit that they mess with and encounter and so forth. And so, yes, you have to figure that there are going to be some people that come out of that with some kind of malady, deformity, something.
Yep. And if you can't fix it, go to the farm.
The farm. Yeah.
I feel like the farm was a reference to, I can't remember the name of the author or the book or the movie name, unfortunately. So I'm like, it's a reference to that thing. You guys get me, don't you? But I can't remember the name of anything.
Animal Farm?
No.
George Orwell?
No. It's I'll figure it out.
It's the book. It tells the story of a group of farm animals who rebel against their human farmer.
Yeah, I know that one. And okay, that's very interesting because rebellion is a theme of the rest of that aspect of this episode. I can't remember.
Yeah, no, I get. There's so many references to stuff like this throughout media that I think it's almost a trope at that point. So, the dog's going with him. The dog's like,
the dog does this thing.
Yeah, very Halloween. That's so fucking cool. So metal.
And everyone sees it except Tendi.
No, Tendy's like, this is what dogs do, right? Because she has no clue. She has no concept of how a dog is supposed to behave. Mm-hmm. So if she put this dog together and she's talking about, well, on Orion, we don't have these things. What kind of animals do they have on Orion?
Oh, yes.
I would love a whole episode of that.
Oh boy. That should be a special Lower Decks Halloween episode.
Leave us a comment if you want to see that, because Dag and Big J and I will put that together for you.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, we switch over to the ready room with Amina and Mariner, and Mariner's like doing goofy stuff with her, probably how they used to act together.
Mm-hmm.
And Mariner's like, I just love Captain Trinkets. Like a pineapple.
The pineapple.
Can we talk just for a moment about how she's wearing like that cool naval hat and holding a pineapple, and how I Met Your Mother that is?
Very.
In How I Met Your Mother, the pineapple is a joke that lingers for multiple seasons. And there also is a character in that show who is called the Captain.
Really?
And I just was like,
I haven't watched How I Met
Your Mother. A really
Mother.
Interesting thing there. Yeah, the pineapple joke is like 5 seasons of why is there a pineapple? It just shows up and nobody can explain it, and until you get to like the end of the season, you're like, oh, that's where the pineapple came from.
Yeah, pineapples are I think a big reason we see a pineapple, at least maybe on a starship like this during like kind of like a military organization, is because like in many estates, like in Charleston or like in the South, it was very common for when soldiers went away to war, they would bring pineapples back. And so you would know that a soldier is home from war when the family would put the pineapple out on like the porch or something. And that would mean you could come and talk to them and that they were back home. So that's why you see a lot of like on fences or stone gates and stuff. You see a lot of pineapples like on the top of them, is because there's symbolism and historical meaning behind that. So I think it's cool that we see kind of like the golden pineapple here. It's kind of like a historical reference, which I think is great. So it also could very well be a How I Met Your Mother reference as well. We see a lot of like, oh, we noticed that from a fly, or we noticed this from this in Lower Decks. So it'd be sweet. So Mina and Mariner like catch up, and Mina asks if Mariner has seen Ransom's photon torpedo, which, whatever. She asks her to be her number one on this mission.
And that's sweet. And look at this hug they got. They looked like they were good friends at the academy, which is nice.
I'm sure they've checked in on each other, but maybe like the more obvious differences as time has gone on between them haven't been translated well, because like, Mariner is not on the same level of maturity as her peers who went to the academy at the same time. So I don't know. I just like, it's a very uncomfortable thing, I think, for like checking in after you haven't seen someone for maybe like 5 or 6 years or something like that, as they've been on a mission. But hopefully they've touched base, but they do look very close, and like they mean a lot to each other.
I got some theories on placement of service, career, and age. Ready for me yet? Not yet? Yes?
Me? Oh no, I haven't really. I haven't looked into that.
I have theories on it too, and I think Jay and I are on a wavelength. And I wanted to say we could talk about that when we get to like them in grab boots on the ship while it's being torn apart.
Okay. Yep. All right. I'll hold it to then.
Just we have to leave the audience in suspense. Otherwise, they'll just stop listening right now, and they won't get the best part of the episode. Right.
Good point.
Oh, we get to see the beautiful, badass, incredible NX 75300.
Oh my god!
Is that what that is?
That is a crazy looking ship.
So
it's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. This is the Osler, and for those of you who are interested in all the little call outs, the Osler is named after Sir William Osler, 1st Baronet. He was a Canadian physician and renowned as one of the greatest diagnosticians ever to wield a stethoscope. That's a direct quote.
Oh.
He was a bibliophile, historian, author, and notorious practical joker, and founded the History of Medicine and of the History of Medicine Society of the Royal Society of Medicine in London. And I just think it's really cool that you've got a ship with a whole bunch of people on it who have these very outlandish conditions named after a diagnostician, which is, what's wrong with you? Let's figure out what's wrong with you and fix it. Mm-hmm. So it's just beautiful. It's the perfect name for this ship.
Good name.
Okay.
These writers are on top of it.
Yeah.
And
that's
awesome. It looks like a scary future jet.
It does.
Like,
I like that look. It's very kind of scary, ominous. Like, this is the way they showed it and framed it and presented it was, it's like the ship of doom.
Yeah, it looks very high tech.
This thing comes out of like this. I'm just gonna say it. This thing comes out of a synthwave void. this
Oh,
pink
hell
and,
yeah.
this pink and blue lightning infused portal that all the external shots show this ship traveling through this kind of thing. So is it some kind of new transportation thing, or is it just the art department go be scared?
Yes. Yes. The art department is like, this is scary. It's going to be like a haunted hayride ship, you know, all your goons and goblins and ghoulish stuff that's on this ship.
Yeah. It seems very like, it does not seem Starfleet at all. It seems honestly more like a jet plane, like a private jet plane. And so it's like, get on a private spaceship that no one can help you from, because we go super fast and can probably like hide and stuff really well. And it's very like otherworldly. So
I like it.
Yeah, it looks awesome. So they're waiting in the airlock. The gates open to bring forth the Adosian doctor.
I mean, look at the atmosphere. There's like this, you know, near the floor, just this fog, and this would be a Halloween episode. That's just like how it's presented.
Yeah. This is the first Adosian we've seen since Eric's 1973 animated series.
Yes.
I love that he's wearing a mask
that
too.
Dag and I have seen. There was an Adosian in Trek RP back in the role-playing days that honestly, this could have been an extension of that character's like story, because very similar personalities. What was his name?
I don't remember.
Yeah, me either. But yeah, very,
Super
very
happy
cool.
that I like that he's wearing a mask here. It's like he's he's exposing himself to people he hasn't been exposed to before. And you're on a ship named after a diagnostician. You don't want to catch whatever this weird screwed up thing that these new people coming on my ship might have.
Yeah.
And
great point. I didn't even think of that. He's basically welcoming two medical anomalies on board. So he's basically quarantining himself. The mist could additionally look at the poor puppy's face. He's like, oh.
And you know, the whole reason that we got Eric's in the animated series was really was budgetary. There was a lot of money had to be spent on getting William Shatner, DeForest Kelley, Leonard Nimoy back. They got James Doohan, Nichelle Nichols. And if I recall the story right, there's some details might be a little foggy on, but they were going to stop there and not bring on George Takei or Walter Koenig for their roles. And it was Nimoy that firmly lobbied that they not be discluded from that. And I can't recall how it was that, you're only going to get one of them. And so Sulu was, George Takei was picked as the one. And basically it was just, they were out of money, or he could only get one of them on there. And it was, let's get Sulu. But that was why Chekhov was not in the original, the animated series was due to that. So
very
interesting. Just a little background thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that situation. Nimoy lobbied to ensure that George and Nichelle got the same amount of pay as them. And that was really cool. And also, Walter Koenig actually wrote an episode of the animated series, The Infinite Vulcan, the one with the Phylosians and the 50-foot tall Spock.
Oh God, maybe we'll see something weird like that. Well, weirder, I guess. Yes. But yeah, so the mist here could very well be like a decontamination mist or something.
Totally.
But there's purpose behind that, but it's presented as like, you're coming into my haunted house.
Yeah, it's very
much like waiting in the beginning of the haunted house. Well, like, explain how it's going to work. It's like,
I just realized what this ship looks like to me. It's not precise, but looking at the interiors, I'm like, man, the red lighting, this feels like a Klingon ship. And then it hits me. The Osler feels very much like a Negvar. It doesn't have the pronounced front end of it, but it's got the cool spoiler and it's got the nacelles set parallel to the main.
Oh my God, you're completely right. Holy shit.
It's almost like the animators were like, oh, if we're going to make it look Klingon on the inside, let's make an animated kit bash of the Negvar.
Well, when you start saying
the
Klingon,
red lighting, the fucking yes.
Yeah.
So you remember when Riker goes to like co-command, like it's an exchange program or something for a Klingon, there's like red lighting everywhere. It's like a warm light the entire time. So that is such a good call out. Oh my gosh.
That's what Klingon ships use. That
there's like red blinking lights everywhere. It's a total kit bash. You're 100% right. 1000%.
Dag, when you were talking about Klingon ship, I thought you were going to bring up the Bards of the Dead in regards to, well, the inside for sure, yeah, but the outside, kind of a little semi Negvar kit bash. Yeah.
The bridges of Klingon ships are very steamy as well.
And I just want to announce that I remember the book and the author and the movie of that thing I wanted to talk about before, and we'll talk about that at the end when we get there.
Okay, all right.
Super cool.
What do we next?
Are we going forward?
Yeah, let's go forward.
Let's
boldly
go.
For another beauty shot.
And this is my background.
Oh, okay.
I'm so happy we get establishing shots again. Even for a 24-minute episode, they put in, especially, I don't understand how they do it. There's so many beauty shots of going back and forth between sequences that take place very disparately or even very close together, like the Orange Goo episode, Moist Vessel, where, we get really good beauty shots of those two ships. And for a 24-minute episode to give those to us, we didn't get a lot of those, I feel like, in Picard or Discovery.
No, we didn't.
They're treating us well.
Yeah.
Taking care of us. I would also like to point out in the last scene, as the Adosian doctor is walking with them, he says, stepping upon this vessel is consent to be surrounded by dark abnormalities. The farm cures all. So it's very like ominous. I just thought it was cool how he was like bad scientist. So anyway, let's skip ahead to this beautiful shot that we were talking about. What planet is this?
This is the Bog planet.
The Bog planet, correct. We don't have a name for it, do we?
We osmos our most brackish something.
Oh yeah, we osmos our most brackish gratitude. So this is King Phoebus. We get to meet King Phoebus later, but this is not the scene yet. So Mariner is getting ready in some beautiful waders. Shapeless waiters. God, they're so ugly.
This is the standard Starfleet waiter, of course.
Very standard. Yes, definitely not at all a human.
Do you notice the captain there?
Current day style.
The captain doing that like rock meets live long and prosper sign right there.
I like how they were comparing
weird
war stories, and the captains talked about how she faced 4 Borg, and I think it was Mariner that said a little known fact that, no, I think it was the captain said a little known fact that the Borg smell like old trash bags.
I kept thinking the Borg would smell like burnt circuitry, but that's me.
Probably both, because they definitely don't clean themselves ever. And they're made of organic material as well. So I can only imagine a kit bash of a body in that way. They're basically walking corpses. Like, ugh.
But that's stuff that you never think of. Like, when have you ever sat and thought, I wonder what Borg smell like? Not until that episode for me. It's like, oh, that's a good question.
The only time I've ever thought about what anybody smells like, it was Worf. And Bashir tells us he smells like lilac.
Oh, and gooseberries? No, I'm kidding.
I wonder if Odo would smell like plastic, do you think? Or maybe rubber?
So in the scene here, Mariner looks very like, uh-oh, they're like really relying on me. But look what she's got next to her in the scene.
A tricorder in a duffel bag.
Is that the purple?
It's well, it is purple, but it's the crate of tricorders she's leaving behind.
Oh, great!
That's a big thing on the planet there. There's a crate of tricorders that's lying there, and she leaves it, and that leads to future
issues. Yes.
Yeah.
They basically like set it up. We don't look at the place how they store the tricorders. That's fucking cool. It's like a charging panel. Mm-hmm. I love all the little things like that they can do in animation. It's so fun. That really just makes me so happy inside to see like fun thought out things like that. So she leaves the tricorders behind, unfortunately. They beam down to the planet and they have bog waders. Yep, they look really weird, but you know, whatever you got to do to get the mission done. You don't want to ruin your uniform. Mariner tries to go off one way and lead. But
and Drew's like, "Are you coming with us?
Are you on a different mission or?"
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
They march on over to
nice pun.
Nice.
This giant filtration device, and we get to see axolotl people. It's so good. So cute.
He's got a crown. Look at that little crown he's wearing.
I love like, them. Really. I literally love them.
Isn't there a Pokemon that's an axolotl? Newt something.
You know, I'm not into the whole Pokemon circles, but I want to say that I believe you are right.
Wooper.
Who?
It's Mudkip and Wooper. So Mudkip evolves into Wooper, who evolves into Chansey.
Cool.
He's a mid-level evolution.
You know what? This morning I woke up thinking there's no way that we can take Star Trek and relate it to Pokemon for our Pokemon fans out there. And you guys have surprised me again.
Ha! It's what we do. Oh, man.
I think that's right.
I got to look something up real quick because this dude's outfit, now that I'm looking at it, it reminds me of what was the name of the king from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? King Friday.
Oh my God.
Oh, totally wrong. It's not anything close to that. Never mind. I was like, wouldn't it be great if they stole one of King Friday's outfits for this scene and have a callback to Mr. Rogers? But nope. Never mind.
So I was incorrect. If you're a Pokemon fan, I'm so sorry. Wooper is the unevolved or the pre-evolved form of Quagsire. I would just like to, I guess, correct myself.
Okay.
No, good.
Myself there.
Good checking yourself. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to know because Pokemon is not one of my fandoms.
Right.
I played the shit out of some Pokemon growing up, like Game Boy Pokemon. It was great. Oh my God. I spent so many hours.
So here's an interesting thing about his greeting or thanks here. He says, I osmos our most brackish gratitude. Mm-hmm. Brackish is defined literally as just salty. It is like a water, salty, freshwater salt area mix. Mm-hmm. And for us, it means distasteful, unpleasant, unappetizing. But if you're an axolotl who lives in that all the time, it would probably be very pleasing.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. 100%. Gratitude. He's so cute.
Yeah.
They're comfortable in a salty brine.
I would love an axolotl as a pet someday, but they're very sensitive little babies. So anyway, we skip over to now that we're done hemming and hawing about how cute and gushing about the axolotl people. His name's King Phibius, by the way. Something goes wrong in the filtration system they're installing on the planet, and like the incredible senior team that they are able to stop it on their own without the help of Mariner, because she forgot a key element, the tricorders, back on the ship. So, at this point, I was like, what is going on with her? Because typically, like, Mariner knows what she's doing.
Right.
And she can look at his face. He's so pissed off.
She has certainly proven she's very capable. So
exactly. She's extremely capable. And so at this point, we're seeing her kind of doubt herself in the presence of these equally as capable, if not more so, peers. And so I'm thinking, like, is she really having a moment here, or is she faking it?
I think it's really a moment. There's something that's just got her off her game. That's my thought.
That's not my thought, and I interpret some conversations that happened later in the episode to support my thought. But
okay,
yeah. So later on, we do learn that she is taking a dive. She's basically intentionally tripping herself up in order to avoid being a first officer for Amina permanently.
Yeah, because Amina's like, you figured out that I was going to offer you a spot on my ship, and you were taking a dive. And so she's like proving to Amina's people, I am not capable or reliable. Don't look at me. Don't look to me for anything.
Yeah. So I think, Big J, you wanted to talk about Mariner's career stuff. We could probably do that immediately after this scene, because
okay.
She's like, oh, I left the back of tricorders on the ship. And they're like, why would you do that? That's critical to our mission. Do you usually mess up away missions like this? Blah, blah, blah. Right. We actually cut after this scene to the Cerritos and the bridge of the Cerritos. And Captain Freeman is checking in on her ship. What a cool shot. Oh, my God. We never get like top down views in orbit.
Dorsal view. So pretty.
It's gorgeous.
Looks nice.
And they're in caves. It's like they're in that same place in Cardassia that Crusher, Picard, and Riker were. And Ransom is lifting weights in the background.
Oh my God, is he really?
I didn't know. Yes.
He's bringing he brought his weight set with him.
He is such a Chad, on duty and off duty.
The Rubidoux. Sorry for the yawn there. So Freeman checks in. Amina's like, everything's going fine, blah blah blah, until the Vulcan Durga reports that the Rubidoux is late, and Amina asks to run like a sensor sweep or something, right. Sensor grid sweep.
Mm-hmm.
And Mariner keeps pressing the wrong buttons, and Amina at this point is like, you need to chill out, it's fine. Like, just relax. Yeah. It's just how I don't really have much to say about it. But
so Rubidoux is yet one more city in California.
Oh wow, okay, never heard that one.
But also there is a Rubidoux Park or something in Missouri. Rubidoux Creek in Missouri. It's in the Ozarks.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because I just wanted to connect myself to my co-host.
Yeah, so Rubidoux Creek is around basically in the center of Missouri, and it's like a natural spring. It's very beautiful. And for listeners who maybe are new but to the podcast, but I live in Missouri, and Dag is in California, and Big J is in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in very different time zones. But yeah, the Rubidoux Spring is in downtown Waynesville, which is not close to me, but there's lots of creeks and stuff in Missouri. It's very, very pretty. So.
And it's named after Louis Rubidoux, who was born in St. Louis and died in Colton, California.
What a cool little link.
That is.
Yeah. I love names that end with X. Super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Looks like Rubidoux established the Black Snake Hills Trading Post, which I think it was a part of the fur trade that was going on at the time, which Missouri, for those of you who aren't aware, Missouri was huge, like with fur trade when the West was expanding and being colonized. So pretty cool. I'm learning more about my state, actually, because there's a lot of this I wasn't aware of. So
probably learning more than you wanted to learn.
No, I like to learn about my beautiful state.
Okay.
I think what's cool is that, in doing this, this is the writers. The writers are naming these things, and they are, they're bringing a lot of California culture into it. But at the same time, that culture is named after things and places in other areas. And I just realized that the Louis Rubidoux home in California was designated on March 29th, 1933, which is my birthday, and like 4 days after William Shatner was born.
Ooh, good connection.
I'm reading up on Louis. We can have a longer convo about that later.
Welcome to Beyond Trek Podcast. We're not going to talk about anything but this one French dude who was born in Missouri.
Yeah, we're going to talk about.
Yeah, like your managers like to say, yeah, we can talk about that offline.
Yeah, we can take that as a takeaway.
Guys, can we circle back to Lower Decks?
Let's circle back to the topic.
Because I ain't no circle back boy.
Oh my God.
I am. I'm gonna tell you. I say that shit all the time. We'll circle back later.
More scary, ominous ghost ship.
That's Dag's background. Oh wait, no, that's close to it. But what a cool looking.
I see this. And this is so metal to me, and in my head, I'm just hearing. Boom, did it, 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 boom, did it. It's that
I'm hearing some Metallica song. I'm not sure which one it would be for this ship. But
it's funny how they're. Dude, go ahead.
If Batman had a spaceship, this would be his spaceship.
That's what it would be. Mm-hmm.
1,000%.
This is the Bat Space Mobile.
Yeah.
It's like the Batwing in space.
I love how they have to like go through this purple. They're like going through a purple cloud every time, like a swirling purple hurricane space storm every time we see them. But maybe this is like just on the way. Like maybe the farm actually, like the farm is a planet. I'll just say it. The farm is a planet, although we're made to believe it's not on the ship. But maybe like the planet is in this nebula or something and they have to do this every time.
No, I don't think it's a top secret place. It's just the art department's fucking with us.
Yeah. Right.
Why would the farm be a top secret place that you have to go through some subspace corridor to get through? No, it's just the art department's just like, yeah, let's just do this. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's just me, but that's part of the humor in it.
That ensign guy tells them, this is the farm, which is, of course that's meant to be like, they don't even know like how much information was kept from them.
I think they were fucking with Boimler. A little. Like, because they seem more friendly towards the end. So, okay, let's talk about what happens once we get back to the, what is the ship called?
Osler.
The Osler. Fucking badass. They go, so they actually start to meet the people. Look at his neck. God, he has eyeballs for nipples.
Oh my God, yeah.
Well, he has nipples for eyeballs.
Oh my God, he's a duck face.
And that guy's just a giant head.
So I'll come back to that giant head later.
Look at this guy. He's just a whistle for a head. Like if Dick Tracy had a rogues gallery of rejected villains, this would be it. A whistle head, glowy eye. They had a bad guy in Dick Tracy named Flat Top. Come on, we can name all of these guys.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the Brave Little Toaster The
vacuum.
For some reason, it reminds me of the vacuum guy. Yes.
Yes.
He looks just like the fucking vacuum guy. I don't know why that just like nostalgia me in the face right now, but
man,
like,
Watney, bring it on. The best callbacks. Oh my gosh. Yes, he looks like the vacuum. That's great.
yeah. Big J, did you ever watch The Brave Little Toaster?
No,
Okay.
I haven't.
Oh my God. I'll have to send you a picture of the vacuum guy, but prolific movie for at least my childhood. I watched that movie over and over. It was extremely traumatic at the end as well, because you think they're going to die. Like it was kind of like Toy Story 3. Anyway,
Okay.
The vacuum was kind of like that hard ass like appliance. It's a really weird thing, weird sentence to say if you haven't watched The Brave Little Toaster. But so like there's that green head in that like that just the single head in the scene, and it really reminded me of Spirited Away. When Chihiro is in the office of like Yubaba, the lady who runs the entire bathhouse, the witch, and she has these like heads, these little green heads that like jump around each other, and there's 3 of them, and it looks just like it. If you've seen Spirited Away, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And for my co-host, if you have not seen it or it's been a minute, I'll post a picture for you later. But it really reminds me of that, especially later when he like jumps in the pool. Anyway, we see really weird stuff.
The other thing is like the head is playing cards with Whistlehead, but he doesn't have any arms to hold the cards. They're just floating in front of him.
Oh,
that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
See, and the other head thing, there's 2 references that I thought about there. Also, was like the face of Bo from Doctor Who was just a giant head in a vat. It's said to be the oldest person in history. And then there's actually a Rick and Morty episode where you get a bunch of these like monolithic faces that start appearing over Earth.
Yeah, I've seen. And
of course, Rick and Morty connection is super obvious there because Mike McMahon. But how many faces, how many just bodiless heads exist in history? Let's call them all out in the comments. Just bring them all the bodiless heads.
Okay.
I just posted it in our Discord, guys. The in the on-air notes section, I posted the Spirited Away heads. If you want to take a look at them, they're crazy. It's crazy similar.
Let me look at that.
So yeah, I guess while you're looking at that, I'll talk a little bit about what goes on here. So Tendi, the dog, and Glowy Boimler step into basically what amounts to, I think, the bunk area of the ship. And it's made to seem like the Osler is kind of like a containment ship, when in reality, I think what it is like, it's a working Starfleet ship. Like everyone here like works on the ship, but it's made to seem like they're being like contained a little bit. What did you guys think of that?
I definitely felt containment.
Yes, for sure.
There's even though there's plenty of people here, because we're sort of following in Boimler's unease, it's the sense of being around people, but being very alone and isolated from them. Even with Tendi here, I just, stepping into Boimler's shoes, I didn't feel like welcome or sure of anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at the atmosphere set up. This is a transport to a nice little vacation spot, but it looks just it's all dark and gloomy and very Halloween haunted house looking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the guy, is he holding his head, or was it just beamed into the lower part of his abdomen there? The one sitting on
I think it's just sitting there.
Okay.
We do get like a Tuvix reference in a second.
Oh shit. The Split guy?
Yeah, well, the one that's sharing his body with the girl.
Yes.
We have two of everything, almost everything. Woo, references.
That was a very great deadpan line. He was reading a pad or whatever and just didn't even look away. Almost everything.
Yeah. So this is funny. He's like,
So
like the way he was talking.
Mm-hmm.
we get this guy
Good.
who's totally, I'm right there with you, Watney. It's just the way that he kind of has that dual personality thing going on, old man, young kid. It reminded me of that admiral from the first season, Mark Jameson, who was super old but took an elixir to make him younger.
Yes, period. Exactly.
Yeah.
I know exactly what
So
you're talking about.
He's like equal parts advanced aging and youthening. I don't remember the words, but I like the fact that he is wearing a Nemesis era uniform, and it sort of explains like how long he's been here, kind of trips us up. But also I kind of think that they just, by the time he got to the farm, they hadn't cycled in the new uniforms.
Right, correct. Because these uniforms could very well still be used. I mean, with the uniforms, is it? And I don't want to derail us too much, but is it like a steady phase in and out of uniforms, or is it just like a hard stop wearing these uniforms, wear this one? So, and especially because this is just a year after the events of Nemesis, we can certainly assume that either they, or this guy in particular just was not where the new uniforms got phased in, or or he's been there. Well, no, he wouldn't have been on that ship for that long a time, but I like how he has like half his body is adolescent, so his arm is short, he's on a peg leg.
That was so funny.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny how they introed him. He's basically saying the admirals are putting us here to hide us away. They don't want anyone to know that these types of cases exist in Starfleet. And he says the ship is the farm, and then we get to see maybe the most important. Oh my God, that's definitely Pike.
Wait, no, I missed it. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. Keep going.
Is it here? Okay, good.
This is like a Pike reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe a Stephen Hawking reference. She's a port of wine or a wine stain.
Yeah.
Well,
on her face. Maybe even a Tasha Yar reference there.
Well, so when Pike appears in the menagerie, when he's sitting in this thing, this is exactly the same chair that he had been burned on that side of his face.
Yes.
And so he had this nasty purple scar that ran all the way alongside, and also that sort of like.
Yes. Yep.
So I thought that was adorable. And this particular character gets a hilarious call out at the farm. And I have a slide for that, but it's so funny.
Great.
That's like she's sitting there with like two other dudes in the same chair. So we get this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then
we get the Tuvix reference.
Here, this is our Tuvix reference.
Mm-hmm.
They got beamed into each other, but not as cleanly as Neelix and Tuvok did.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is right. She's like, we have two of everything. And he's like, no, we don't.
And then we get the Threshold reference.
Yeah.
Here, which Threshold is by and large regarded as probably one of the worst episodes of Star Trek ever. If you're listening, you probably know, but basically Janeway and Paris goes beyond warp speed. He goes warp 10.
Yeah.
And that messes with his DNA, and Janeway somehow gets involved as well. And they both turn into he kidnaps her, and then they go warp 10 again, and they both turn into salamanders, and they go to a planet and have baby salamanders, which is fucking just so weird.
So here's the question dominating my mind. On one hand, is this just another person who also happened to go warp 10 in some kind of experiment, or did one of the babies make it back to the Alpha Quadrant looking for mommy and daddy?
Oh.
It can't talk that we know of. So I would assume someone else tried to go warp 10.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the face in the bottom left. So funny.
Look at the face in the top right. That's creepy.
That's like
Yes.
Slender Man, pretty much.
Oh, God, yeah.
Might be a Slender Man reference.
Oh my gosh. No way. That's great. Slenderman, 24th century. Perfect. Especially for a horror episode. Come on.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. So this guy is the leader, basically, of the group, where he speaks for them.
Man,
They're basically spooking out.
I'm still looking at the vacuum from.
I know I posted a GIF of the vacuum guy in the channel. I don't know why. He just really reminds me of that.
Or like a Terminator gone wrong.
I don't know.
What is up with Crescent Moonhead, though? That looks like something.
I don't know. We should keep going, though. We're
Okay.
sorry,
We're
but
so far behind.
we're so the Cerritos comes up to the Rubidoux. They're floating in space. Time to go do professional shit.
Notice the red band on the saucer.
Yep, I see it.
This is a command ship.
You're right.
Wow.
Yeah. Noticed the red
Okay.
band when I saw the episode.
Same class.
Yep,
Yeah.
same class.
Rubidoux is a city in
great.
California, so they're the California class.
Great. So the Amina and the crew beam over to check in on the Rubidoux. Mariner once again fucks shit up with her boots. The power's down. They don't know where the crew is. They assume they're somewhere inside. And they're like, you do. Amina's giving them orders, and she's like, Mariner and I are going to go find the crew, basically. It's a pretty cool space horror, space mystery. I like it. I don't know. I like the vibe.
It is. It's another one of those like space horror, haunted house, murder mystery type things.
I think it's still great because, ultimately it still has that refreshing, reconciled ending. Like, it's not, the bad guy was purely the bad guy. It was, okay, how do we solve this as Starfleet? Oh, okay, this is how we do that.
Mm-hmm. So we do cut back over to the D-14 ship, the Osler. They want to stage a mutiny. And Boimler's like, obviously the last person you should be talking to this about, because he's like, the goody two shoes follow the rules, even if the leadership is like not doing right by the crew, he's still gonna try and make things calm and not violent.
Right.
Boimler's like, I gotta go to. He's like, I can't do this.
What is it they're chanting? Are they like freaks for life or something?
Freaks fight back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then Boimler's like immediately in the office.
Right. Going straight.
Yeah.
Going straight to the principal's office.
And the
to tell him.
Dojin captain is like he's handling it in the worst absolute way possible. And look at his three fists.
Three arms. Three fingers.
And Boimler's like, why don't we all just get together and talk about this? And the Dojin's like, no. And he grabs a fucking gun, which he has like 4 phaser rifles behind his desk. Oh my God.
3 phaser rifles.
Yeah.
Yes.
He tries to leave to go like take care of the problem. Boimler's like, no. And he's like, thanks for your loyalty. We'll let them know that you are on our side. He's like, don't tell them my dad will, please. Is that Tendi and Dog out? Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Dog is ripping this ship up. She's like, nah, don't look at me. I'm just hanging out with Dog.
But she's like cheering the dog on here instead of like, no, stop.
Mm-hmm. Because she doesn't know what dogs do, so figures that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a banana?
We go back. Yeah, it is. We go back to the Rubidoux. Mariner and Amina decide that they have each changed.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least Amina is like, you haven't changed. And Mariner's like, you have. And you would expect someone to change over time. So Mariner is like, hasn't apparently had a whole lot of development. since her time in the academy.
Yeah, she's like, you used to be the badass, had everybody on, on watch at the academy, and now you just, don't even care about Starfleet anymore. And
yeah,
like, well, I'm not dumb.
Yeah. So they actually open the door and find the crew, and there's some communication issues that happen, and Mina tries to tell Durga on the bridge, don't turn the power on, and Durga gets turn the power on.
And that leads to
the captain says there's something else out there, or we're still inside of it. And it's a terrifying scene. It's very scary to where the captain who's been cloistered in with her crew be like, it's still outside,
Mm-hmm.
We jump back to the D-14 ship. The crew and the Adosian meet up, and the mutiny kind of starts. But then he's like, I'm just going to confine you all to your quarters. By the way, Boimler tattled on you.
This Boimler right here.
This guy right here.
Robert Boimler. And they jump him.
Yeah. I personally love the costuming of the captain, the Dosian captain. Look at the cool shawl. I feel like only a Dosian could really pull that off.
Well, I mean, they use the creepiest, most ominous horror movie looking character and dressed him up to suit.
Mm-hmm. He looks badass.
Reminds me of Frollo for some reason.
Yeah. So Mariner, this is when the miscommunication occurs, and Amina tries to tell the bridge. The bridge is like, the power is still off, or comms are not accurate, and so the power gets turned back on.
Yeah.
And then the monster
that feeds
outside that feeds on electricity decides the warp core powers up, and it starts to feed again on the ship.
Mm-hmm. I love that there's children here. Like, what's going on this ship? Why are there kids here? I mean, that's what we asked about the Enterprise D, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are there kids here?
That's
Doesn't the crystalline entity feed on energy or something?
It feeds on organic life.
Never mind. Different. Well, it tries to eat them or tries to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
But so this thing starts creeping in through the decks. It's pretty faceless at this point. It doesn't really have a thing that you can point to and say that's what this is. That's just overtaking the ship. Mariner steps up at this point, and she kind of steps up in the role. Oh my god, the captain is so scared.
The captain's freaking out, and Mariner just sucker punches her.
She does. Holy shit.
She's in the whole mode of whatever needs to be done needs to be done.
Mariner's looking at the audience going, look at me, I am the captain now.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
When Mariner gets the furrowed brow, shit's gonna get done.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this.
Yes.
This is a total 180 of Mariner's appearance this whole show. She knows what she's doing, she knows what's in charge, she's got it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the simple way animation can convey that fortitude and determination from how nervous and weird she was acting. And this is the part where the captain's like, where's this been the whole time?
Yeah, exactly. Amina's basically lets the audience know that everyone thought Mariner, she had the best grades at the academy. Everyone thought she was going to get captain first, which kind of plays into the augment theory again. But she's holding herself back, and Amina now realizes that after she steps up, when this monster starts infiltrating the ship even more, basically destroying the ship, taking it over. Mm-hmm. And Mariner's like, well, why can't I just be a super great ensign and avoid all the bureaucracy that comes with command? She's like, don't you hate that? And Amina's like, well, I love having a team that trusts me. Right. And that to me is very wholesome. Amina is a leader. She's not a boss. She's a leader. And she believes in Mariner and wants her to be a part of that team because they trust each other. And eventually they come to the conclusion, why don't you just stop being a fuck up and I'll stop trying to recruit you and we can save these people. deal? And Marner's like, yeah. So
she can roll with that. Dag, you muted.
Yep, it's tradition. And this is where I wanted to segue, Jay, to the discussion that you wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've been getting these hints and excuse me, little drops throughout the episodes where we try to place Mariner's career. Where she's at in her career, age, things like that, et cetera, et cetera. And here's my thought, because they said they were in the same class. So I went back and I thought, all right, if we base ages on average ages that we go through today in regards to, and I just used myself an example. We're assuming that after high school, you graduate high school, that is when you would go to the academy if you chose to go to the academy and not their version of college, university, or whatnot. So when I was in college, my first year, that fall that started, I was 19. So I went off of, okay, let's just assume that Mariner and Amina are similar age at similar time going into it. So you're talking getting out of the academy around 22, because if it's 19, 20, 21, 22 is your senior year, you graduate. So let's just assume they were 22 when that happened. And now Kirk was captain of the Enterprise at 32. At the time, that was the youngest captain in Starfleet to command a ship. So then I thought about the Dominion War. Many ships, thousands of officers killed. So it's possible that there are a lot of officers that were possibly fast-tracked in command. So I got to thinking, all right, so if Kirk was 32, and that was pretty extraordinary. However, and at that time, there were not nearly the volume of ships and opportunities for officers to get a ship maybe at younger age. But now, even after the Dominion War, we've got to figure there's a lot of placements that are open. So I'm thinking, maybe let's say that it's safe to assume we're talking about these two characters being in their early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, that Amina, even being an exceptional officer, we're talking about a shortage in Starfleet. So basically my thought is that Mariner has been in service for 10 years, let's just say 10 years, and could have been a captain like her classmate, but we're talking about an early 30s ensign that's been in Starfleet 10 years, roughly.
Yeah.
So I'm
on the same page.
That was kind of where I was going on that theory, based on how old, how much time you would have been in Starfleet before being a captain, mixed with we are just a couple years out of the Dominion War ended in
2376.
I'm sorry, 2376, and this is 4 years later. They may very well have bounced back by then, but I think that still floats us around
I was
30s.
Definitely on the same page with you.
What do you think,
sort of like 7 to 10 years out of the academy. And then with the Dominion War claiming so many officers, and there being, openings for people with aptitude, and Ramsey here definitely demonstrates the aptitude. She could be 29, 30 at the youngest, and 32, 33. And maybe even older than that. I was looking at Tawny Newsome, who's 37, who's the voice of Mariner. So it could even be further back than that. But knowing that Mariner we've seen Mariner in a First Contact uniform We haven't seen Mariner in a TNG uniform. That would throw it way back if that were to happen. But yeah, 7 to 10 years as an ensign. Harry Kim reference. Ha 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 ha. But maybe it also demonstrates why somebody would stay an ensign for that long. It wasn't that they weren't given opportunities for promotion. It was that they felt most effective in that role.
Mm-hmm.
In a role where there wouldn't be an expectation of responsibility.
She says many times, like, I'm here, I'm an ensign because I want to be able to do stuff and break rules that like are dumb rules.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get to where you don't become a captain by breaking Starfleet's protocols. You just don't. Unless you're Kirk, I guess. But
right. I mean, yeah,
Kirk is always the exception. So,
well, and I think also Mariner gets when the going gets rough, Mariner gets going, and in ways that we have remarked before are just exceptional. And I like to think that Mariner probably would not be the best commander per se, because she wants to be the one to make the sacrifice. She doesn't want to order anybody to do that.
Right.
And as an ensign, as an extremely capable ensign, she can be the one who gets that order and gets the job done.
Right. She can step up, get the job done, and then slide right back into anonymity.
Or she dies, and that's okay.
Right.
She like what was the command test that Deanna Troi had to take? You have to order somebody to their death, and you have to live with that. And Mariner may not want to live with that, and that might be one of the things that she has to figure out as a lower decker. She says in this episode. Well,
there are a lot of things that come with command, those kind of decisions, those kind of orders that she may not be up for, because in Starfleet you're going to face that. Worf faced that with Jadzia when they were on that planet or moon. They had to meet up with this Cardassian defector.
Yep, change of heart.
Right, change of heart. That episode, and it came down to a decision. Worf either lets Jadzia die, or he meets up with this defector that could have information or ramifications that could save many other lives, but faceless lives to Worf. He's dealing with a very tangible, this is this person right here. Then I need to decide, do I let this person perish or what? And so he starts to go towards what his duty is, but then you remember he kind of stops, turns around, goes back. And eventually the defector, the informant, was caught by the Jem'Hadar and killed.
Executed. Yeah.
And then in the command test that Troi was taking, she ended up coming to the conclusion she had to order LaForge into the whatever. It's like, okay, if this is what you need to do to fix it, does that mean that you don't come back? All right, you have to go. I'm ordering you to your death. And honestly, that's excuse me, Jesus, that's not for everyone. That's not for everyone, because I don't know that I could do something like that or be put in a position where I have to choose who lives and who dies. That's a very tough burden. You really have to want it and be dedicated to that life. I mean, as you get promoted and higher and higher and higher in Starfleet, it's just that burden becomes so much greater, because now you're making decisions on things that may impact hundreds, thousands or more lives. And for Mariner, and just may be like, no, that's not my scene. I do not want to be in a position where I would have to look at someone that I loved and tell them, sorry, I gotta leave you. I gotta leave you behind, because if I don't, then I lose the entire ship and crew, et cetera, et cetera. She does not want that decision to be on her. So being where she's at, it's least likely that that's going to happen.
100%.
Yep, I agree. I think she's she's scared of what other she doesn't want to be responsible for anyone but herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big thing for her, is a big reason why she doesn't want to move up the ranks. So go ahead.
I was saying that'd be a really bad conclusion to this first season if Boimler dies on her watch and she gets promoted because of it.
Oh, that would be
shit.
And that's like the arc. Boimler doesn't get to be the captain that he's dreaming about being, but Mariner finally learns how to accept that kind of responsibility and to move up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see how Lower Decks would continue as a show if that happened.
It might have to be a different character.
Yeah,
It won't be one of the four.
No,
maybe it'll be one of the bridge crew or something. I don't know.
Ooh.
So yeah, we cut back to D14 here, and Boimler is getting chased through the ship by the rest of the crew. He turns completely normal before being pushed out of the airlock and onto a beautiful, beautiful lawn and landscape.
Yay! Don't freak anymore.
Yeah.
I know the slide. So if you're listening to us, we're waiting for the slides to get to the point that Watney has gotten us to.
Yeah. He's like,
he thinks he's going to be in space. He's trying to hold his breath.
You're not supposed to hold your breath. You're supposed to exhale, Boimler. God.
So notice the Asclepius. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but never mind. The doctor symbol is on the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that palace.
Mm-hmm.
It's very pretty.
That is one hell of a resort.
Mm-hmm.
That is the farm.
They kind of
the
like,
boys got the shiny eyes.
Yeah, the captain and the half old man, half little guy.
We don't get a name for him.
No, we don't. But they kind of have a moment like maybe they've been through this before. Or they like aggravate each other, I think.
That Quark and Odo.
Yeah, very much so.
Relationship.
Yeah. So the rest of the crew is like, we're here. Yay. And the farm is an actual planet. It's quite pretty.
Yep.
So here you can see
they get their nice little drinks and get a tan.
Why are they in swimsuits? That's incredibly hilarious.
They put swimsuits on those large chairs.
The guy has a duck face.
He's got a duck bill, and our resident salamander warp 10 guy is getting a back massage. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And who are these? I don't know the alien species that is pink skinned with pointed ears. That is interesting to me.
It's new. Yeah, it's new.
So turns out, Tendy's saying goodbye to the dog. It turns out the dog can talk. The dog is a girl, and Tendy doesn't know that dogs aren't supposed to speak. The dog starts to float, and Tendy says goodbye, and Boimler is like, this place isn't too bad. And Tendy is like a little nugget here. She just does it.
It's great.
Boimler's got his margarita, or whatever that is he's drinking.
Boimler reminds her, like, no, the dog's not supposed to do any of that. And she's like, oh, this makes so much more sense now.
Yes. So Boimler's normal now, and the techs come over. Look at her eyebrows. Jesus. Did you see that?
Yes.
Her eyebrows are like, one's about to go off her head. The other's like in her eyeball. Boimler tries to stay on the planet, but he gets kicked off because he's normal now.
He doesn't want to go.
Yeah. So him and Tendy get shipped back to the Cerritos. Meanwhile, on the Rubidoux, the alien tries to take the captain of the Rue, and Mariner and Amina save her together. The alien begins to take over the entire ship, so Rutherford gets called for the quick beam out experiment, even though Mariner knows he was working on it, but doesn't know the side effects of it, because he asked her to be a part of it before Boimler. And look how cool that, it's just so glowy and cool.
Yeah.
Look at that shot.
Yeah.
I love
Nice
it.
shot.
Badasses.
And it's just really cool to see the two of them working together in tandem like this. That they can read each other, they're a unit, one of them has opted for the responsibility that entails, and the other one wants to be the one who gets ordered to be a part of the action.
Yes. And I think it's a good way to kind of link that Mariner does belong in that position.
Yeah.
She is capable and able to do what she's doing as first officer, but she has personal issues that prevent her from taking that responsibility. So yeah, it's great. Still not a Mary Sue. We go back to the Cerritos and everyone gets, this is still on the Rubidoux. I'm sorry. And
Right.
So once again, Sam gets called. The bridge screen is cracking. Mariner calls Sam.
Emergency beam out.
Beam us out. And he goes on up and gets everyone out quickly.
Because everything's going to hell now. The ship's breaking apart.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Rutherford is just racing through the ship to get to his experimental The Fly intrinsic field remover transporters. and of course, in true Star Trek fashion, right when everybody's about to die, because the view screen breaks and shatters out, and everyone is getting sucked out into space or captured by these energy tendrils.
Yeah.
And Amina's like, I'm going to shoot it again. She looks completely capable, but at this point, things have just spun too far out of control.
I really want to do 0G combat training now, because that's amazing. It's just, I'm about to get sucked into space, but I have the wherewithal to shoot my phaser at this thing one more time.
Yes. Oh, you've got to have that, because the view screen blows out and everyone's trying to not get sucked into space, and you've got to work past that panic. Rutherford to the rescue, so he saves everyone.
Everybody gets to be all blue and glowy.
Rutherford's like, don't worry, it's just cosmetic. And Amina's like, it's just cosmetic. And then everyone's like, yes.
It's a that happened moment. Hey guys, I once beamed like 40 people who were in danger from one ship to another, and the transporter glitched out, but everybody was cool with it and everybody celebrated their lives were saving. That happened.
Yeah.
We see the Rubidoux begin to break apart, and out comes a beautiful callback to Encounter at Farpoint.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
Oh my god, it's
straight
awesome.
Straight up headcanon. This is the birth of a jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we know that the jelly is a sapient creature
And
who eventually gets enslaved, and you see this in the first episode of TNG. So
and this is the best gender reveal party of all time.
yeah, because we know, thank you TNG for making one of the jellies pink and one of the jellies blue, so we know that this is a heterosexual
and also
relationship,
and not burning down the state in the process.
Yeah, too soon callback to the California wildfire that was started in such a way.
Oh gosh, yeah. Tendi and Boimler return, and they go to the bar, and Sam and he talks to Sam. What does he say here?
I don't remember.
Yeah. And Tendi's like, this is a lame dog.
Because it licks her and she's like, ew, gross.
Weird.
But it's a little Aussie Shepherd.
He's so cute.
It's adorable.
He's so cute.
That's cute, because why wouldn't someone have had a dog on the ship? A real dog.
No, yeah, it's totally normal to, I think, have a pet in Starfleet. So, very cute moment. We cut to Mariner and Amina looking at the jellyfish. Like, this is what makes you, moments like these that make you glad to be like working out in space. And Amina asks if she ever wants to take command. Amina has an open offer to her to be first officer. Mariner comes over. Mariner says she still has things she needs to figure out on her own before she can do something like that. Ransom, of course, interjects himself into the conversation and asks Amina for a drink, and Amina throws him into a table.
Content alert. Content alert. Content alert.
Hey guys, from here on out, we discuss some pretty heavy subjects, so consider this a content and trigger warning for topics like sexual assault, abuse, misogyny, misandry, and so forth. If you're sensitive to those kinds of topics, I'd really recommend just stopping the episode here. Thanks again for listening to Be On Track.
I know I'm going to sound all like woke or bespoke or whatever the common kids are calling it today, but I actually got a little frustrated at that point. Like, why is it funny to use violence against a dude in that scene? Still, like, okay. why can't we have a good representation of boundaries and have Ramsey be like, no thanks, and Ramsey's like, I appreciate your boundaries, and or Ransom, which is like, appreciate that and walk away. Super healthy. Don't need to beat up the people, because I mean, if the genders were reversed, it would be really fucked up for Ransom to do that to somebody that was hitting on him.
Right, but I think like the point here is that guys do that to girls who turn them down. I totally
saw that too, and I agree with that. And so
like you have to basically give a guy a fake number if you think he might be violent towards you. So you have to choose being an asshole over, you have to basically say, nope, you're fine. Sure. I'm sure it's fine. I'll give you my number, and compromise your safety, or just straight up lie. It's like the same situation as kind of like you're walking down the street and there's like a guy behind you, and I've been in this situation. And so you cross the street because I value my safety over being an asshole all the time. So,
So maybe in the real world, if we had better healthy interactions in the real world, we wouldn't need to trope them in the animated world.
Sure. So like, again, it's not nice that it happens to anybody. Same thing with the whole mansplaining, that the opposite of mansplaining that happened in a couple episodes back between Freeman taking Ransom's idea that he just said. But, you know, of course, it's not nice that it happens to anybody, but it does happen where like you need to be careful if you're a woman out in a bar, because someone could get violent if you tell them no. So sure, it sucks, but it's just a play on that.
I do, Dag, I absolutely get what you're saying, because you're right. Naturally, the very first knee-jerk reaction to seeing that in the episode, and again now, is, that was pretty funny and all that. You just don't stop to think, what would our reaction have been if that ended up being any female character getting hit, pushed, whatever, into a table? It's just now suddenly it's not. And I mean, I'm not quite equipped to be able to assume or theorize why that is still a thing now, and why they're depicting that as still being a thing in the 24th century. Because you're right. There are a lot of things that happen in real life, TV, movies, where the joke is lost if you flip the genders around. Then it's suddenly not funny, and that makes.
I'm stuck like in a middle area, because it's like, on one hand, violence towards anybody sucks. On the other hand, in this situation, this is kind of a real world situation that we're still dealing with. Some guys can't handle the rejection, and that means women have to protect themselves by any means necessary. And sure, it's animated and it's played for laughs here, but the fact that it's even played for laughs here, and comedy sort of mirrors reality in this way, is we really need to push healthier interactions, especially during moments at the bar where somebody might be trying to make a play or a pass or get to know somebody intimately, for a one night stand or whatever. And we just need healthier interactions, be able to take that rejection, walk into the moment, and just understand if this person asserts a boundary, walk away. And if we did that more in our own lives and saw that more, if you're sitting at a bar and you can just see the interaction happen and the person walks away and everybody is okay, then maybe that trope would weed itself out of our television and our literature. But I suppose until that happens, we're going to have moments like these that are played for laughs. And that's
right. If you feel uncomfortable, probably designed to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I wonder if all that and the reason it's played for laughs is based on just the entire history and dare I say acceptance of in any situation, pound for pound, males are going to be the dominant force in a situation when it came to an interaction with females. So that when you do see a female turn the tables and assumes that position of power or dominance, that now it's humorous. Now it's funny because that's not the typical outcome that is different. And so now the scene that has been playing in my head since we started talking about this whole topic, and I've seen this discussed as well, and this is kind of a big one. Have either of you seen Wedding Crashers?
No.
The one with Owen Wilson
Yes.
and who's the guy?
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn. Well, there was a scene. Vince Vaughn was tied up and gagged in this bed by the crazy girl he met at the wedding, and she just had her way with him, the whole night and everything, and the entire thing was played for laughs. Like it was very humorous that this dude was tied down, and basically she just I guess screwed him till his dick almost broke off. And it was funny. It was humorous. And then the next morning he's like got a plate full of bacon and eggs and pancakes and all that. He's trying to, re-energize, recuperate, but it was funny. And
maybe there's a catharsis there. The tables have been turned and suddenly men get to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
And I think I'm okay with that presentation then.
Sure. I'm just saying that not in 100 years would have been any kind of humor if it had been the guy who tied up the girl in the bed and,
right.
So yeah, I'm just,
that's like exactly what I said earlier. So that was like my whole point at the beginning, was that the joke is that this happens to women all the time.
Right.
And that if you find this uncomfortable, imagine being a woman.
You're right.
And while I do feel like that, there's a lot that needs to be talked about in regards to men, being in situations like in Wedding Crashers and being taken advantage of. And, rape is not something that happens just to women.
Yeah.
But I think in regards to, not to get too deep into things and all that, but like in regards to Lower Decks, I do think that the writers are leaving things in here like this because Trek is always a reflection of modern day. And just because it's set in the future doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen that don't currently happen. Like humanity is still humanity. People are going to be uncomfortable. It's not like there are entire concepts that have just gone completely out the window. In fact, TNG is still extremely sexist in many ways, especially when it comes to Deanna Troi and her treatment there. So Trek is not going to let these things go. And especially if they continue to happen. So if this makes you uncomfortable as a guy, you probably need to assess how women might feel in this situation, and then maybe we can move forward.
Yes, totally.
I get it.
I'm thinking it over, and I realized that I repeated you because I had to work it through in my own brain because it didn't catch up as quickly.
Well,
Sorry
and
about that.
I think one of the things that Watney is saying is that if things are going to be continued to play for laughs now, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be used in either a animated or traditional TV, movie, et cetera, kind of thing, because it's still something that you can put in that is relatable to today. You remember the whole discussion we had about Boimler being jealous that his girlfriend used to date the big strapping black man and all that. Jet. And well, I'm sure there wouldn't be any kind of jealousy in the 24th century or whatnot. Sure, we might be able to, there's no telling what things are going to be like then. However, that's something that we can relate to now. And that's what the writers need to do, is they need to have something that the audience can relate to, because if you make your show relatable, that's how you keep them in. And I think that was what worked so much for The Next Generation. Was it was very good about taking issues that were happening at the time and relating it to a story taking place in the 24th century, so that we could really take those things and those parallels for that. Another big one was The Undiscovered Country. It very much was taking undertones from the ending of the Cold War at the time between the US and Russia. And what made that movie so good was just kind of how relatable the situation was in a power that you've had hostilities with for so long suddenly has some big environmental calamitous disaster, and peace talks are now on the table. But you have people on both sides that have some motivation to keep the hostility going, because it results in more officers, more soldiers, more weapons, more combat readiness, et cetera, and they're not ready to accept peace. Which I can guarantee it was the same with us. That there were probably many on both sides, the U.S. and Russia, that were not keen about peace talks, and probably would have worked together. Like, let's keep this from happening, because there's a lot of money to be made in arming ourselves for a nuclear war that might never happen. So
I think that's exactly what Watney said. You're right.
Yeah, it's the relatability.
Watney was right first, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, like Big J was talking about, like the whole point of like Star Trek is that it's humans kind of in space experiencing like the oddities, and
yes,
like one of my OCs, Jen, like she's human and she's pretty normal, and I kind of like create her to be normal so that weird things can happen around her, because that's like, if you have like weird stuff all the time, it stops being relatable for the audience, and the audience is human, whether or not
right,
correct,
like that or not. Like, we are human, so
imagine
on screen we like to be able to kind of like relate. So you're totally correct on that.
Yeah, imagine trying to tell a Star Trek story with that all Vulcan captain and crew from the baseball game. Like, it would be really hard to relate to that. So that's why I would
love to see it, but like, it's not a mainstream approach at all.
Right. You wouldn't be able to reflect us today, because everybody'd be like, Vulcan society should be nothing like us.
You remember the talk a while back that fans kept trying to push for a why don't they do a show that's like based off of like the Klingons, the Klingon ship or culture, et cetera. And it's just like, no, you cannot, you can't tell me that you can have a show where the main character, the main ship, the main crew are Klingons, and think that that's going to hold the audience for a season, much less a multi-season show. It's just not, because now you're living in a culture of people that we can't really relate to. They're great as, for an episode focus or a few episodes or whatever, but week in and week out, good luck making that relatable. And that's the thing, is if you can't make your show in some way relatable, you can't expect it to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Especially when something like a Star Trek.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Especially lower decks, which everyone can kind of relate to, because like lower decks is like normies.
So
Like us.
yeah,
So-
Watney has won the Podcast of the Day award. She was right on the whole. It is still funny to see the trope of a woman knocking a guy into tables or knocking him out or whatever, making a pass at her, and that's just where we are right now. And until we're out of that today in the real world, we're going to keep seeing it.
Right. I personally don't think it's funny because, like I said, it's not funny when it happens to anybody.
Mhm.
I think, and I don't know if the writers were going into depth like that or not, but until we start facing the fact that women have to make choices between safety and being nice, then maybe these jokes will go out of style. So, and I'm not trying to deny that bad things happen to men as well. Assault, abuse, of course, that happens to men as well. But a vast majority of that does occur to women. And so seeing this in
it has been that
like
way
Trek,
for hundreds of years.
Right. Right. Of course, it's gotten a lot better recently. But women have always been the gender that gets the short end of the stick.
I'm sorry, I said hundreds. I probably should have said thousands.
As long as we've had civilization.
Try milk.
Yeah, we started standing up right, and then things started happening.
Right. So, over 100,000 years ago. So yeah. So as soon as we stood upright, it became a thing. So no, I totally get it.
You know, these are the conversations that really put that beyond in Beyond Trek. It's taking what's happening on the show and saying this is a real life problem, and in some cases we're playing it for laughs. In other cases, we take the show takes a very serious stance, and we have these discussions here that really put the nail on the head of what's happening in the world today that needs to be looked at and needs to be addressed. And I love you guys for that.
Yeah, for sure. I love all of your perspectives. So thank you for listening to mine. And audience, happy to discuss this more with you as well. If you have strong opinions about this, let's get into it. Speaking of which, I think that wraps our episode for the day. So if you would like to find us and talk with us online, we have a few different options for you. You can find us on Twitter at Beyond Trek Pod. Dag runs that account. So if you want to talk to him, say hi there. You can find us on Instagram as well at Beyond Trek Podcast. Dag and I both kind of post on that account as well. So check us out there, see what we've got. We do have a Facebook, facebook.com/Beyond Trek Productions. And as always, we do have our Patreon, patreon.com/Beyond Trek. We would love to see your support there. We appreciate any and all support we have on Patreon. We have some cool tiers as well. Speaking of tiers, I want to give a couple shout outs to a few of our supporters. Stephanie Baker, you support us on Patreon and Anchor. Thank you so much. We love you. And of course, Jim Cook, our Anchor donator as well. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. We love seeing the support out there. We love seeing your comments on YouTube, Facebook, and wherever else you can comment with us. So keep it coming. We really, really like that stuff and try to engage as much as we can. And hopefully the thing that our listeners look forward to are the kind of discussions like we had here at the end. I really like it when we can take something from the episode and get into that real deep dive relationship between what the episode depicts and what we're going through today. So whenever we have episodes like that, that seems to be a real treat, because then, like Dag said, we really go beyond the episode and get into some of the deep stuff. And I usually find that that's when we really start getting some good perspectives from our listeners and watchers. So thank you all for that.
Yeah. And this was a long one today, so if you stuck with us,
tell me about it. Thanks, guys. Another
all right, everybody.
Another long one for Big J to edit.
Yeah.
I think it's time to get boimed up.
Boim us up.
See you guys next week.
Okay.
We are Beyond Trek Podcast. Lower your inhibitions and surrender your ears. We will add inspirational and hilarious Trek content to your day. Your attention will adapt to subscribe to us. Resistance is futile.